this time, baby. This time. We are back, baby. We are back and better than ever. Welcome to the 2023 NFL season. I am, as you've noticed, I haven't made a single NFL video since my season recap of last year. So we're back at it. The NFL season starts this Thursday with the Lions and Chiefs. But before I make an actual prediction video, just want to give a quick preview of the coming season and who I think is going to come out on top at the very end. But first, I just want to recap how I did last year with my picks. And if you don't know, I went 157 wins and only 113 losses. It's pretty good. Now, considering that that's only outright winners, it's kind of easy because you have the favorites are going to win most of the time, right? So, listen, I'm not taking anything away from my record, but just for some context there, I was only picking outright winners. Now, for this season, nothing's going to change. Nothing at all is going to change. I'm still going to go with outright winners. I was thinking of switching it from just winners to the spread, which if you don't know, the spread is a betting term. It's you're predicting a team to win by a specific number of points. I was thinking about switching it, but no. Let's stick to outright winners. And who knows? Let's say this season I just knock it out the park and I knock it out of the park. I get so many wins, and yeah, maybe I'll change it to the spread. But at least for this year, we're sticking with outright winners. Now, with that being said, if you don't know, I do have a terrific Super Bowl winning streak. I think I'm on a 6 or 7 year streak of predicting the correct Super Bowl winner. How it usually goes is I predict it a week or two before the actual Super Bowl, and like I said, I'm on a 7-year streak. There's nothing actually documented on YouTube, but if you go to my Instagram page, in my bio or under this video, you can see all the receipts on my highlight reels. So I just want to put that out there. I'm on a super long streak of getting the Super Bowl right. And honestly, it's kind of, it's a little unhealthy for my mental health because every year the Super Bowl does come around, I get super nervous and I get super anxious because I do not want to mess the streak up. So it's actually really toxic for me, but screw it. We roll with the punches. All right, now let's get into my preview of this season. So quickly, I'm going to go over who I think is going to come out of each division along with the other teams ranked. And at the very end, I'm going to give a wild prediction for the playoffs and for the Super Bowl winner. All right, so let's start with the AFC North. Now, for the AFC North, I have the Steelers coming out on top. And I won't go too into depth for each division or else we would be here for at least an hour. But listen, I like Mike Tomlin. I think they're going to bounce back. Kenny Pickett, I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he can get the job done with decent weapons. And that's what I think they have. George Pickens, Najee Harris is going to come back with a vengeance. Eric Ebron, I think. He's not a great tight end, but I think he's serviceable. Then I have the Ravens at number 2, Browns 3, and Bengals at number 4. Now listen. You're probably thinking, you're insane. How are the Bengals finishing last in their division? After going to back-to-back AFC championships, in the Super Bowl the first year. Listen, there's one thing that's very consistent about the NFL. And it's that it's inconsistent in terms of the teams that win, right? So every year you have huge turnover of teams who make it in the playoffs and teams who do well. And listen, I don't know which teams those are going to be, but I have to pick at least some because it's just not possible that every single year it's the same single teams doing well. So yeah, I have the Bengals finishing last. Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals. AFC East, I have the Dolphins at number 1. I think the Dolphins are going to run through this AFC conference. Mike McDaniels, I think, is a terrific offensive mastermind. And I think they're going to be a great regular season game, but I don't see them making any noise in the playoffs. So Dolphins 1, Bills 2, Jets 3, Patriots 4. The Jets, I mean, how many times do we see this where a team gets a new quarterback, all the hype is behind them, the Buccaneers in 2020, and in the beginning of the season they get off to a rocky start, but at the end of the season they catch fire and end up making noise, right? So I think that's what's gonna happen with the Jets. I think they're gonna have a rough start, but I think eventually they create chemistry and like I said, they catch fire and win a lot of games. So Dolphins, Bills, Jets, Patriots for the AFC East. AFC West, pretty easy here. We're going with Chiefs number 1, Broncos 2. Listen, I'm a little biased, but I'm really high on this Broncos team. I think coaching significantly matters in the NFL. And with Sean Payton, that's a huge upgrade from their previous coach. And Russell Wilson, rumored to have lost some weight, looking a little faster. So give me the Broncos at 2, Chargers at 3. I love everything about the Chargers except their head coach. Brandon Staley does not know what he's doing. First of all, he's considered a defensive mastermind. Terrible defense. Second of all, you have all these weapons on offense. With a star quarterback like Justin Herbert, and you barely make the playoffs, and you fumble a 27-point lead in the playoffs. Get out of here. I think the only reason the Chargers are good is because of their playmakers and Justin Herbert. Brandon Staley, I do not like him as a coach. So I think they're finishing 3, but I don't think they're worse than the Raiders that are finishing at 4. So Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. AFC South, Jaguars number 1. Trevor Lawrence is only going to get better. Doug Peterson, serviceable coach. Number 2, I have the Colts here. I think a lot of people think the Colts are going to be terrible this year, which they might be. But in the AFC South, I think a decent team can do pretty well. So I'm not saying the Colts are going to have a great record, but I do think they finished 2. Titans 3, I think they're due for a down year. Derrick Henry is only getting older. Tannehill, who knows about Tannehill anymore? Wasn't he hurt last year for most of the game? So I don't know. I don't feel good about the Titans this year at all. I have them finishing 3. And last but not least, the Texans finishing 4. I think this is the last year that they tank. I think starting next year they're going to be pretty good. But at least for this year, Texans 4. So Jags, Colts, Titans, Texans. Moving on to the NFC. NFC East, I think the Eagles run it back. Give me them at 1. Dallas 2. Just like the Dolphins. Pretty good regular season team. So I have Dallas at 2. Washington at 3 and Giants 4. I think the Giants bounce back. Eagles, Dallas, Washington, and New York Giants. NFC South. The worst division in all of football. But you know what? I have the New Orleans Saints finishing at number 1. Now, personally, I really like this Saints team. You get Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, Michael Thomas, and then you have a top 10 defense as well. Listen, Derek Carr has his flaws, right? But I think he's going to come back with a vengeance this year. I really like the Saints. I think they're going to put up a lot of points and make it to the playoffs. So give me the Saints at number 1, Falcons 2, Panthers 3, and Buccaneers at 4. All 3 of those teams are tanking. Honestly, any of them could finish anywhere, so it doesn't matter. That's my ranking for the NFC South. NFC North, Lions at number 1. Listen, a lot of people and myself are really high on the Lions. I do think they get off to a rocky start, but I think they end up winning a lot of games. Lions 1, Vikings 2. Vikings are going to be solid. Packers 3, Chicago 4. NFC West, last division here. Now, Niners 1, I think that's pretty safe. Now, with 2, I originally had the Rams finishing 2, but then I thought about it and I talked to some people and I changed it now. So I have the Seahawks finishing number 2, just like last year, which it does make me nervous because I try not to pick the same predictions every year. But I do have the Seahawks finishing 2. Rams 3, and then Arizona, they're taking for Caleb Williams. Like, let's just be transparent about this. Cardinals finishing 4. Probably winless, if I'm being honest. So those are my division predictions per division for each team. Now, coming into the playoffs here, I have, out of the AFC, I have the Steelers, Dolphins, Chiefs, Jaguars, Ravens, Broncos, and Jets. I feel really good about the AFC side of things because that's 3 new playoff teams, which, like I said in the beginning of this segment, there's lots of turnover in the NFL, so you're going to get a lot of different teams making the playoffs every single year. So I feel good about those teams coming out of the AFC. However, on the NFC, I don't feel that much better about. I do have the Eagles running it back, Saints, Lions, Niners, Minnesota, Dallas, and then Seattle Seahawks. Now, that's only two brand new teams, which is not a lot, but at the same time, the NFC is significantly worse than the AFC this year. So that we could see a situation where the same teams run it back. Now, to end this video, I have the Niners winning the Super Bowl. I have the Niners beating the Bills in the Super Bowl. I think the Bills finally get over that playoff hump or that Super Bowl hump and make it to the Super Bowl, but I do think they fall short to the San Francisco 49ers, which, if we're being honest, the Niners are heavily due for a Super Bowl win. Last 5 or 6 years, they've had a Super Bowl win, huge Super Bowl window, but for quarterback reasons, injury, they haven't been able to finally win the Super Bowl under Shanahan, which I think this year they will with all their weapons. But yeah, super excited for this NFL season. I could not be more happier. The weather's getting colder. The holidays are coming up. Football's back, baby. College and NFL. I am super excited. We'll see how this season goes. I will send out my week 1 predictions tomorrow. But in the meantime, you guys have a good one.